I thought that all girls looked the way I did. I have the uterus of a 7-year-old child. Doctors performed the surgery to create the entrance to the vagina because it was inside, but not visible outside. Do you know what hermaphroditism is? Sometimes doctors would simply start Googling my diagnosis right in front of me. One of the interns even started laughing. Look at yourself. You're a freak. You should have been sent to an orphanage. We'll cut everything off with a sharp scalpel. She gave me a referral to a psychiatric hospital and said, when they treat you there, come back. I attempted suicide. I cut my hair short, changed my clothes, and started speaking about myself in the masculine form. I was prettier as a girl, even when I look at old photos, but that wasn't me. Inside I have a uterus, an ovary, a vagina, and a penis-like organ. My karyotype is XX, and genetically, I am female. My name used to be Kostya. When I first started having feelings, I realized that I was a girl who wanted to be a boy. This happened when I was about 14 years old. Because I grew up in a homophobic family, I believed that this was abnormal. I thought it was a psychological disorder and tried to fight it. For about 6 months, I deliberately wore skirts and tried to use makeup. I was prettier as a girl, even when I look at old photos, but that wasn't me. I barely remember that period. Mostly I didn't know anything from my parents about my condition. When they noticed something was wrong with me, they took me to a doctor. The doctor explained to them, it's nothing serious. This happens sometimes, just an ordinary girl. Don't worry, don't panic. They scheduled 2 surgeries for me. One of them was performed, but they refused the second. They created the vaginal opening because it was internal but not external. The second surgery was supposed to remove the penis-like organ, but thankfully my mother refused. She thought it was only a cosmetic procedure and might harm me in the future. We once went out into nature. By that time, my younger sister had already been born. My father, who was drunk, called me over and said, look at yourself and look at your sister. We love her, but you should have been sent to an orphanage. I suspected he disliked me because of my condition. He used to drive me to school. Almost every day he told me, look at yourself. You're a freak. No one will ever love you. There was a lot of abuse. Sometimes he would even throw me out of the car while it was moving because I hadn't closed the door properly. I didn't communicate with my peers. I never played outside in the yard. Any small mistake resulted in serious punishment. If I dropped something and dirtied the floor, I had to eat in the bathroom that day. I thought, if they are raising me as a girl, then I must be a girl, but I didn't like it and wanted to be a boy. When the internet appeared, I learned who transgender people were. I thought, that's it. That's me. I only learned about my physical differences accidentally later in life. I thought all girls looked like me. The first questions appeared when I saw pornography and noticed that female anatomy looked different. I thought something might be wrong with me, but I didn't pay much attention until I went to a gynecologist. She asked what was going on with my genitals and whether I had surgeries. I answered her. She asked, do you know what hermaphroditism is? I said no. She explained and sent me 4 examinations with other doctors. I went to many doctors, often. I came to an appointment and they admitted they didn't know what my condition was. Sometimes they even Googled it in front of me. Eventually I was admitted to a pediatric endocrinology hospital. The gynecologist looked at my file and said, undress. I undressed. She examined me and told the nurse to close the appointment. Then she said, follow me. She took me to the doctor's room, brought in several doctors, and in front of interns said again, undress. I undressed. They all looked at me. One of the interns started laughing. It was extremely uncomfortable. It was frightening and humiliating. At that moment, I just wanted them to let me go home. She sat down and said, don't worry. This happens. I've seen it before. Let's do surgery. We'll cut everything off with a sharp scalpel. You'll take female hormones and everything will be fine. When I told her I didn't want that, she became angry. She said I had mental problems. She wrote me a referral to a psychiatric hospital and said, when they treat you there, come back. That was during the time when I was trying to be feminine and match my supposed gender. At one point I couldn't take it anymore and attempted suicide. Fortunately, it failed. It felt like forcing a man to wear tights and skirts. It feels alien and uncomfortable. And you start wondering, why is this happening? Isn't this supposed to be normal? Then I decided I would rather live the way I want or not live at all. I cut my hair short, changed my clothes, started using masculine language, and introduced myself with my current name. I didn't communicate with classmates. I was outside the group, basically a target for bullying. So nothing really changed. It just became another reason for people to mock me. At 15, I met my current best friend online. She introduced me to the wider world and new people. At 17, I started injecting testosterone. What were the first changes? The voice. My voice started breaking. The last change, about 3 to 4 years later, was hair growth on my head. My friend Kostya didn't have enough courage to begin the transition process, so I had to push him a bit. Later, I had extremely high leukocyte levels and doctors suspected oncology. During an ultrasound, they found a tumor. It was benign, located on the ovary or tubes, and I was also diagnosed with endometriosis. Later on, continued examinations at a private clinic. Doctors explained that the situation wasn't too serious yet. They could clean the organs and remove the uterus to avoid future problems. I would like to remove the uterus. I don't need it, and it only causes health complications. When I was a child, doctors said I was infertile and that my uterus was like that of a sex. In the private clinic, they later said that my ovary actually contains eggs. But I'm not interested in that. I didn't have menstruation for a long time. Even with pills, I had it only twice. Doctors said I would need female hormones to maintain it, but I refused. I stopped taking them at 13 when I realized what they were. From 13 to 17, I didn't take any hormones at all. Later, I used very high doses of testosterone. At one point, I gained a lot of weight and my chest started growing. It's a very small size, not even in a cup, but it's full of stretch marks because it wasn't supposed to grow. Now I have to hide my chest with something like a sports corset. I avoid public places where people need to undress because I have nothing appropriate to wear. When I studied in college, I had an unusual appearance. People couldn't tell whether I was a boy or a girl. Many thought I was gay. One day, about 15 people waited for me outside the college. They wanted to find out who I was and why I looked like that. One of them came forward and asked me. I explained my diagnosis. To my surprise, many people didn't even know what it meant. He turned to the others and said, "Leave him alone. Allah created him this way." They left. He told me I could contact him if I ever had problems. I became disappointed in religion. When I was a child, I prayed to God, hoping bad things would stop happening, but nothing changed. My father was very religious but never taught us faith. For me, it was strange how a religious person could behave the way he did. That pushed me even further away from religion. My first relationship was with a girl. I have always been attracted to both men and women. For me, gender differences matter less than psychological compatibility. I'm a softer person and feel more comfortable with stronger personalities, usually men. I use my female genitalia. My first serious relationship happened when I was 17. That was when I lost my virginity. The first time I truly fell in love was with someone I almost married. He was openly gay. We met at a party. Since we had been drinking, I didn't explain anything. I simply showed him. Surprisingly, he wasn't scared. Because of him, I even considered postponing changing my documents so we could legally marry, while I still had a female passport. Now I've been with my partner for almost 2 years. For the first time, I feel what real love is. I have never been this happy. They are my first real family. I built my own family from wonderful people. Without them, I would never have found the strength to move forward. Do you have a big dream? Yes, but it's simple compared to others. I dream of seeing the northern lights. My partner Camilla and I even looked at travel options. I've seen photos online and can't believe something so beautiful exists in nature. When I was a child, I had many encyclopedias. I was fascinated by space and stars. I can see the stars, but I've never seen the northern lights. Now I feel completely at peace with myself. Sometimes I still wonder if I'm doing everything right, but I go with the flow and try every opportunity that feels interesting. The most important thing is to feel comfortable. I am happy with my life now and with who I am.